Meanwhile, the median time to get approval to build a house there is 627 days. That's 217 days longer than it took to build the Empire State Building.
Let me throw a real question at you. How does it take 627 days just to get approval to build a single house in a state that constantly claims it's drowning in a housing crisis? That's not construction. That's not rain delays or labor shortages. That's just waiting for someone to say yes. For perspective, the Empire State Building, one of the most iconic structures on Earth, was built in 410 days back in the 1930s. No advanced tech, no modern software, no automation, no apps, no espresso machines on every corner. If that comparison doesn't set off alarm bells, nothing will. And this is exactly why Bill Maher has finally snapped. He's saying out loud what millions of Californians have been screaming into the void for years. Before we dive in, quick favor. If you appreciate commentary that actually challenges power instead of dancing around it, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Is California being regulated into the ground? Or is this just the price of progress? Let's get into it. Maher isn't some conservative flamethrower. He's been a reliable liberal voice for decades, which is precisely why this moment lands harder. When someone like him says, "This has gone way too far, people should pay attention," his opening example was almost laughably small. A garage door, not a high-rise, not a factory, just a garage door. And yet, 3 inspections. 3. No safety breakthrough. No environmental victory. Just paperwork and delay.
Regulations that aren't necessary. That aren't, I mean, you really don't believe that the state we live in, California, is lacking regulation. There's over 300,000 regulations. I mean,
Well, maybe they're needed.
They're not. When I tried to put in a garage door, I had to have 3 inspections. There should have been none. I should be allowed to change my garage door.
Are you kidding? Really? It was about a garage door?
Absolutely.
If you live in California, none of this sounds shocking. It sounds familiar. And here's what people outside the state don't fully grasp. California isn't just regulated. It's buried alive under regulation. There are more than 300,000 active regulations on the books. That's not governance. That's paralysis. Housing developments sit frozen for years. Infrastructure projects get announced, funded, rebranded, refunded, and then quietly vanish. High-speed rail has become a punchline. And when wildfires rage, no one's escaping on a bullet train that still doesn't exist.
California is the place that spends money and gets nothing, which is why you may have noticed when the fires broke out, no one escaped by high-speed rail. We have the highest marginal tax rate in America, higher than almost all other states, and soon Greenland.
California has perfected one thing: spending enormous amounts of money while producing shockingly little. And Maher says it straight. This is a state that taxes like a Scandinavian country but delivers services like a broken DMV. We have the highest marginal tax rate in the nation, higher than nearly every other state, and somehow still climbing. And what do residents get in return? Cracked roads, rolling blackouts, a housing market so broken that a converted shed with plumbing gets labeled a starter home. But Maher's deeper point cuts harder. This isn't just bad policy. This is what happens in a one-party system. No competition, no pressure, no urgency. And before anyone melts down, this isn't about Democrats versus Republicans. It's accountability versus complacency. Look at swing states, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia. Leaders there know if they screw up, they're gone. Every vote matters. Every mistake has consequences. In California, political careers are practically guaranteed. When leaders know they can't lose, they stop trying to earn your support. They govern for activists, donors, and bureaucrats instead of voters. Competition forces results. Monopolies breed laziness. California politics has become a monopoly, and the consequences are everywhere. Housing explodes. Infrastructure collapses. Regulations pile up forever because no one's job depends on fixing them. And that leads to the most uncomfortable part of the conversation.
You know this about California.
No, I don't.
Well, Well,
I'm sorry, I don't.
You've never heard that California is overtaxed and overregulated? That we are a one-party state where there's sort of no checks on that sort of extreme leftism. And that, what do you think?
I don't for a minute consider California a state that is extreme leftist. Not at all, not any way.
Well, that shows where your politics are. That's not where mine are. I'm sorry to tell you.
That moment comes when Maher gets serious pushback, when he's told with a straight face that California isn't overtaxed, overregulated, or ideologically extreme. That's when the disconnect becomes undeniable. That's when fantasy collides with reality. Enter Jane Fonda. Now, she's lived an extraordinary life, no question. But she also lives in a world where regulation is theoretical. Higher energy costs? Irrelevant. Housing prices? Not her problem. Permits, fees, taxes, background noise when you're worth tens of millions. For people like her, regulation is a moral abstraction. For everyone else, it's rent, gas, electricity, and whether you can even start a business or keep your job.
Don't really like them that much. They just think the far left has gone so nutty on so many issues.
That's what they're being told.
That's what they...
By people like you.
Because it's true.
Maher nails the point when he explains why people voted for Trump. Not because Trump was flawless, not because people loved his tweets, but because he acknowledged their frustration. While elites lectured from gated communities, everyday Americans were suffocating under costs imposed by people who never feel the consequences. That anger didn't appear overnight. It was built slowly, one permit, one fee, one regulation at a time. Then Maher pivots to water, and this is where things get almost surreal. California has lived in near-constant drought for 2 decades. Everyone knows it. We're told to shorten showers, kill our lawns, reuse towels like we're camping. Meanwhile, almond farming has exploded. Here's the math that should short-circuit your brain. Oranges, tomatoes, strawberries, about 11 gallons of water per pound. Almonds, 1,900 gallons per pound. One crop uses more water than all the people and businesses in Los Angeles and San Francisco combined.
We've spent the last 2 decades in perpetual drought here, yet almond farmers in California have doubled in that time. Despite the fact that almond production alone uses more water than all the humans and businesses in San Francisco and Los Angeles combined, even on days when your teenage son spends 2 hours showering. How much water it takes to grow different crops, oranges, tomatoes, strawberries, all take about 11 gallons to make 1 pound. Almonds, 1,900 gallons. That wasn't a problem back when it rained, but now there simply isn't enough water to go around, and we have to make a painful choice, getting it to the people or getting it in the...
And what does the state do? It subsidizes it. California agriculture consumes roughly 80% of the state's water while contributing less than 2% of the economy. This isn't about struggling family farms. This is corporate-scale agribusiness operating under rules written like it's still 1890. Maher's point is brutally simple. Water is scarce. Scarce things should be priced accordingly. Instead, taxpayers subsidize massive water consumption while cities ration showers and rural communities watch wells run dry. That's not environmentalism. That's incompetence. And who benefits? The usual suspects, corporations with lobbyists, bureaucracies that never shrink, and regulators who justify their existence by creating more problems to manage.
California agriculture accounts for 80% of our water use, even though California agriculture is less than 2% of our economy. We actually have enough water. We just give way too much of it to farmers who get their water subsidized by the government because we still act like it's 1890 and farmers are small and independent when they're really mostly part of big ag. And corporations get what they want in America.
Which leads to one of the most savage lines in the entire discussion. The idea that California's bureaucracy exists to make sure nothing ever gets done, and then charge you for it. Permit officers, inspectors, zoning boards, review panels, special commissions, consultants, all orbiting the same unspoken mission. Slow everything down, delay, add fees, create friction. How may I hinder you? Might as well be the official greeting.
It's the vast network of regulators, administrators, inspectors, contract reviewers, project managers, fee assessors, special commissioners, zoning officers, and consultants whose jobs seem to be to make sure nothing ever happens and then charge you for it. The people who answer the phone, "Permit office, how may I hinder you?"
And then people act shocked when residents start leaving. This isn't theoretical anymore. Businesses are fleeing. Energy companies are relocating. Tech workers are cashing out and heading to Texas, Florida, Tennessee. Anywhere that doesn't treat productivity like a crime. And it's not just corporations, families, retirees, young professionals, people realizing they're working harder each year to fund a system that gives them less. Maher calls it exactly what it is: economic self-sabotage. When a state punishes efficiency and success, people don't protest. They leave. From there, the focus shifts to cities, leadership, and the fallout of all this ideology. Approval ratings tell the story. Rahm Emanuel steps in with a blunt reality check. Mayors across major cities are failing, not because the problems are impossible, but because their priorities are backwards. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances.
I read that the current mayor of Chicago has an approval rating of 6.6%.
Round it up, 7.
So, okay. But I mean, you were just the ambassador to Japan. If that was your approval rating in Japan, they would do harakiri on live TV.
They would do it at 27.
I mean, what's going on in Chicago as the person?
Look, I mean, we were talking about this a little earlier. I mean, you have also the mayor of New York not doing well. Obviously, other things also here in Los Angeles not doing well, the mayor here. Look, and then you got mayors like the mayor of San Francisco and other cities that are doing well. So I would say, look, there is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances. Focus on those 3 things and your city's gonna be.
That's the job. Not culture wars. Not symbolic gestures. Not endless debates over language while crime rises and stores lock up deodorant behind glass. When Walgreens and CVS start resembling armored vaults, something is deeply broken. And schools, this may be the most damning stat of all. Worst 8th grade reading scores in 30 years. 30. And what are leaders focused on? Bathrooms, pronouns, locker rooms. Emanuel's frustration is unmistakable. Parents don't send kids to school to be ideological experiments. They send them to learn to read, write, and think. When classrooms turn into political battlegrounds, education loses. And here's the uncomfortable truth. While leaders obsess over optics, outcomes collapse. No amount of virtue signaling can fix that.
Gone through 5 years where people became way too permissive of the culture. They were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS, and that is a disaster.
Yeah.
And our school, and I'll say this about our schools. I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom.
I agree.
We had the worst reading scores for 8th graders in 30 years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in 7th grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and got in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it.
By the end, the picture is painfully clear. California isn't failing because it lacks compassion. It's failing because it lacks restraint, competition, and leaders willing to say no to bad ideas, powerful interests, and bloated bureaucracies. Maher isn't calling for revolution. He's calling for basics, common sense, accountability, pragmatism, build housing faster, price water honestly, focus on safety and education. Stop pretending regulation is a virtue when it clearly isn't working. California used to be where people moved for opportunity. Now it's where people escape from. And that should terrify everyone. If this made you think, hit like. If you're tired of politics that ignore reality, subscribe and drop a comment. Can California still be fixed, or has failure become too comfortable? Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And this brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.